नमस्कार, सलाम, याली मदद, सत श्री अकाल, हेलो टू कैलगरी। आप सबका स्वागत है हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। आज का हमारा सेगमेंट है इनक्रेडिबल पीपल एंड देयर इनक्रेडिबल स्टोरीज, और उसी तर्ज पर आज हमारे साथ दो अमेजिंग मेहमान जुड़ेंगे और हम उनसे बातचीत करेंगे उनकी सक्सेस स्टोरी के बारे में, और आपको बताएंगे किस तरह से वो आज इस लेवल पे पहुँचे हैं। हमारे लिए बहुत फ़ख्र की बात है कि वो हमारे अपने देश इंडिया से हैं और कैसे उन्होंने यहाँ पर आकर अपनी लाइफ को बनाया। उनके पेरेंट्स जब यहाँ आए एज इमिग्रेंट तो उन्होंने कैसे अपनी लाइफ को शुरू की। इट्स अ वेरी इंस्पायरिंग स्टोरी। आई एम वेरी श्योर आपको बहुत मज़ा आने वाला है। और ये स्टोरी हम चाहते हैं हर घर में हो, लोग अपने बच्चों को सही वे से परवरिश दें और उनकी एजुकेशन, हाउ दे आर लुक्ड आफ्टर, ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है। आजकल की भागदौड़ में लोग एक दूसरे के लिए बिल्कुल परेशान नहीं हैं, क्योंकि लोग अपनी ही मुसीबतों में इतने उलझे हुए हैं कि उनको अपनी परेशानियों से ऊपर कुछ दिखता नहीं। लेकिन हमारे बच्चे बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है हमारी लाइफ के लिए, तो उनके लिए एक सही दिशा और सही वे से आगे बढ़ना बहुत ज़रूरी है। लोग शॉर्टकट्स ढूंढते हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पर कोई शॉर्टकट नहीं है। जो आप स्टोरी आज सुनने वाले हैं उनमें आपको कहीं शॉर्टकट नहीं दिखाई देगा, ना ही सुनने को मिलेगा। ये मेहनत और किस तरह से शिद्दत के साथ अपनी लाइफ को इन लोगों ने बनाया है, ये आज आप सुनेंगे उन्हीं की मुँह ज़बानी। हर टॉक शो का मतलब सिर्फ बहस नहीं, हंगामा नहीं, कोई तमाशा नहीं। ये टॉक शो है आपकी आवाज़ का, आपके मुद्दे का और आपके भरोसे के भरोसे के साथ साथ आपके जज्बात का, क्योंकि आपका भरोसा हमारी जिम्मेदारी है। आइए मिलकर स्वागत करते हैं हमारे अपने हैप रणदेव और गुरवीर रणदेव जी का। वेलकम टू द शो।
Thank you for having us.
So as I was telling our audience and viewers that how good you have made your life, and to start with, the first question, whom you owe it to?
I think it would be our parents. Our parents came to Canada in the early 1970s,
Right.
and they instilled into us hard work, the importance of family, importance of legacy, importance of responsibility to not only our family, ourselves, but also to our general community.
Right.
We didn't want to be, an example of people who came to Canada and then, didn't make it. So
Right.
it was very important for my parents that we work very hard and that we do create a legacy for our family as well as for our community. And so we would owe majority of our success to our parents, our aunts and uncles and our family, and even just our parents. When they did come, the community here was quite small.
Right.
So everyone kind of knew each other. So we had just so many eyes on us during that time when we grew up. Every aunt and uncle was invested in making sure that everybody's children did well, is what I always found.
Yeah.
What about you?
It was a smaller community back then, and community was very important. And I feel like our parents' hard work has been one of the main driving forces for our success, and I think we owe it to them, to be honest.
ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੇ ਕੁੱਲ ਮਿਲਾ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੀਏ, your parents, you feel your parents gave you the right start, the right way, they looked after you and they made sure that you guys are successful, right?
I think what my parents did is they did a very good job of a fine balance of providing for us, but not spoiling us. So our parents, they gave us unwavering support.
Right.
So if we said, oh, I'm going to do this, or I want to launch this business, or I think we should do this as a family, they treated us like adults. We were involved in the decision-making process, but because we were treated like adults, we also had responsibilities. We had firm guidelines of what was acceptable behavior, what was not acceptable behavior, what we owed our parents, what we owed our family, what our responsibilities were. So they did provide for us,
Right.
but there was also a level of accountability that we knew that, okay, our parents came here, they sacrificed, and this is what we have to do now. This is our job.
Now that's very important, Hap. If you see like accountability and giving it back, right? ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਨੇ ਆ, ਆਪਾਂ ਨਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਪੈਸੇ ਕਮਾਉਣ 'ਚ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਆਪਾਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। I've seen parents back in India, like kids are here, right? I'll tell you a small incident. One of our not family friends but acquaintances, so ਹੀ ਟੋਲਡ ਮੀ ਕਿ ਨਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਪਿੰਡ ਹੈਗਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਗਿਫਟ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ। ਆਈ ਵਾਸ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਟੂ ਇੰਡੀਆ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਚਲੋ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਦੇ ਦੂੰਗਾ। ਹੁਣ ਫਗਵਾੜੇ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪਿੰਡ ਸੀਗਾ, ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਗਿਆ ਐਂਡ ਹਿਊਜ ਹਾਊਸ, lavish house. I was shocked to see that house in, you know, मैं कहा कमाल है। अंदर गड्डियाँ खड़ी हुई हैं, 2 अंदर गए थे, वो बेचारे बापू जी मंजे ते बैठे हुए थे। सो एंड आंटी जी बैठे हुए सीगे ते मैं गलबात की ते हाँ पुत्र बहुत आप वक्त हुई ते घर दिखाया, हर कमरे च AC लग्या होया है, यू नो दे सो बहुत लेविश हाउस। ते मैं कहा अंकल जी थोड़े वास्ते गिफ्ट भेजा, खोलिया iPad, he was shocked like मैं की करा था करदा की है होंदा की है मैं कहा मैं तो पता नहीं अंकल जी थोड़े बेटे ने भेजा है। कहंदे यार खुद तो आंदा नहीं, 4 साल हो गए उन्हें देखे हुए नाल ये भेजता, हुण मैं इहदे नाल की करूँगा, मैं तो चलाना भी नहीं आंदा। तो फिर मैं उन्होंने फोन लाया, मैं कहा यार ये तो अंकल जी एवें गल कर रहे हैं। ओ नहीं नहीं कोई गल नहीं, वो जाके उत्थे दिखाणगे सरपंच भाजी नूं ते उन्होंने कर देना, अंकल जी हुणां ने ना चालू कर देना। लाइक व्हाट आर वी डूइंग, लाइक दोस गाइज worked so hard to get you here and what are we giving back, you know। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਥੋੜਾ ਦਿਲ ਦੁਖਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਆ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਪੈਸੇ ਕਮਾਉਣ 'ਚ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, we forget about kids, we forget about everything else ਕਿ ਚਲੋ that is also necessary but are we balancing it? What do you say to that? Like you guys got, you know, I think the best parenting one can get, but you did not made it go haywire, you utilized it। ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੈਸਾ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਦੇ spend that money or they spend that freedom in doing not good to themselves but spoiling themselves। मैं अपने listeners को ये बताना चाहूँगा, HAP और गुरवीर they are, you know, doing amazingly well and एक बहुत बढ़िया और बहुत बड़ा ग्रुप है लग्जूरिया ग्रुप, जो कि कैलगरी अल्बर्टा आप कह सकते हैं, उसमें बहुत जाना माना नाम है। और मैं उनसे ही जानना चाहूँगा कि आज उस ग्रुप में इनकी क्या पोजीशन है एंड हाउ वेल दे आर रनिंग इट, और आज इस पोजीशन में वो लोग कैसे पहुँचे हैं। अगेन हैप, अगेन द क्वेश्चन टू यू इज़ प्लीज़ लेट एवरीबडी नो दैट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली यू आर टुडे इन दैट ग्रुप एंड what education you have and what is the key which made you to a position which you are on today, and then we'll come to Gurveer.
So I am the Vice President of Operations and Strategy at LUXURIA Group. We are a family business. Currently LUXURIA Group owns and operates LUXURIA Homes. We build homes across Calgary and Alberta. We do about 150 to 200 homes a year. We do Lux by Luxuria, which is our multifamily division. And then we have Luxuria Auto. So we have the TD Auto Centers, TD Auto North, TD Auto South, and then we have a Fix Auto in downtown, and then a Pro Color coming as well in Calgary. And then we have Luxuria Developments, which is our commercial development wing of the company. And we have built to date over 180,000 square feet of commercial space. With another 200,000 bookmarked for the next couple of years.
Wow.
And then we have Luxuria Retail, which is our car washes and liquor stores. Yeah. So it's an overarching company. We've kept it family based. My background is in marketing and art history, which is an odd, I guess an odd combination for business. But we were always taught to just kind of think outside of the box and to work really hard. My dad worked tremendous hours and he worked a tremendous amount of time, but he always instilled into us that, okay, this is not permanent. We are doing this for our eventual goals. So I think the one thing that our parents did really well is they always kind of talked about future goals.
Right.
So we knew we were going to start a business. Even when we were young, my mom would be like, okay, well, we can go to McDonald's and we can spend like $20, or we can save that money, buy a house, save that money towards a house, buy another rental property, and ek din aap business shuru kar longe.
Kya baat.
So when we were young, we were always taught that as a family, we were going to do something, and as a family, it was everyone's responsibility to make it happen. So my parents earned the money, but we also knew as children not to ask for too much, because we knew that, okay, we're going to sacrifice in the short term because we have these long-term goals of opening a business and doing this, and in order to do that, we have to create capital.
Amazing. Gurveer.
So I'm the CEO of LUXURIA Group. I did my university degree at University of Calgary, did my BCom there, and I oversee the operations of the entire group.
And you manage the cash flow.
Yeah, which is always a very
So we're a very good combination because I'm the worst at that, and he's amazing at like the financing, cash flow, and whatnot.
यहाँ आप देख सकते हैं भाई बहन का जो एक कॉम्बिनेशन है, प्यार है, ये एक बहुत बड़ी बात है. दीज आर एक्चुअली आर वैल्यूज़. यहाँ पर आकर हम लोग इतने अलग हो जाते हैं अपनी फैमिली से. आई डोंट नो, ऐसी हवा में तो नहीं है, लेकिन ये हमारे खुद के ही विचार होते हैं या खुद की ही सोच होती है, जहाँ पर हम भाई भाई का नहीं होता और दे सेपरेट. बट हियर इज़ एन अमेजिंग एग्जाम्पल where the family is together and both of them, they are working so hard and living a dream life. And मैं तो ये कहना चाहूँगा कि फैमिली जो है एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है आपके लिए. उसको आप जोड़ कर रखें, उसको बना कर रखें, तो कहीं ना कहीं ये आगे जाकर ज़रूर फ़ायदे का सौदा हो सकता है आप सबके लिए. एक छोटा सा ब्रेक, और ब्रेक के बाद हम लोग अपनी बातचीत जारी रखेंगे हैप के साथ और गुरवीर के साथ. देखते रहिए पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविज़न. मिलते हैं एक छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद. वेलकम बैक. एक बार फिर से स्वागत है हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में. आप देख रहे हैं सेगमेंट इनक्रेडिबल पीपल एंड देयर इनक्रेडिबल स्टोरीज. आज हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं लग्जुरिया ग्रुप के हैप रणदेव और गुरवीर रणदेव. अभी तक बातचीत में यही समझ में आया कि जो फैमिली है, जो परिवार है, उसका एक बहुत बड़ा योगदान होता है आपकी सक्सेस के पीछे. तो आइए बातचीत जारी रखते हैं उनके साथ. सो who else is there in your family right now?
So my sister, we have to talk about my sister. She was, I would say, our second mother.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we were more scared of my sister than my mom because she's so fierce. So she actually was the first one to work at LUXURIA Group.
Okay.
Her and my dad. And she's now, we're happy to say, coming back from Toronto. Her and her husband and her children are moving back, and she'll be working with us again.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, thoda sa we'll go back in your memory lane. So, when did your dad came here?
1976.
76.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
1976.
That's amazing. So, do you remember like what kind of jobs he did when he was
So
here?
my dad worked 3 jobs. He used to actually rest at the bus stop
Wow.
because back then he didn't have a car, so he would take the bus to every job. And he had 2 younger brothers here that he had to take care of. They were in school, so he would actually work 3 jobs. And I remember when I was quite young, I don't remember if you remember, but my dad worked 2 jobs. And after that, he worked night shift as a factory operator. And he worked for a really good company, so he was very valued, he felt empowered, he enjoyed his work. But I remember my dad just being very, very busy and working all the time.
Right. What about you, Gurveer? What are your favorite memories from your childhood?
Well, I was, to be honest, I was sheltered from a lot of it. We didn't have that much money growing up, but I was sheltered because I had 2 older sisters. So Hap and Gop really didn't let me ever feel like we didn't have much. But you could usually tell when, you would go to school, etc. You had a general idea of how much money your parents had. I would say our favorite memories were when we would just spend time together. And like my sister touched on that, we would always have a family goal or a family objective to make it to this next level. Like my sister said, our mom was really big on us starting a business.
Right.
We didn't know at that time what business it
We had no
would be.
idea. She would just be like business card now, but we wouldn't know.
But we knew we had to save and we had to get to the next step to one day start a business.
बहुत बड़ी बात है अगर आप यहाँ देखें. अगेन ऐसे टाइम में जहाँ पर लोग बात करते हैं अलग होने की, यहाँ बात हो रही है जोड़ने की. Like they just said, their elder sister is coming from Toronto and she will be living here with them. एक बहुत अच्छी फीलिंग आती है कि जब परिवार आपस में मिलते हैं, reunite होते हैं. Hap, just on that note, do you feel sometimes that if you see or you meet other people and the brothers sisters, they are fighting and they are fighting over small things and और हम तो आजकल ये हो गया कि पैसे बच्चे लोग की they can go to any extent. I've seen in my own friend circle where people have really gone to very low levels to be kind of कि ये मैनू मिल जाए, ठीक है ना, I should be the owner or I should be the more percentage holder. कदे दिमाग च आंदा है कि इस तरह दी चीज़ थोड़े नाल भी कदे हो सकती है, or you guys are so intact with each other that you don't even think about that?
I think that we have a good balance. My mom always said that, कट्ठे रहना, like आसम विच कोई फर्क नहीं पाना, आप दी किस्मत आप दी हुंदी है. So we've never been jealous of each other, but at the same time we owe this to our mom. My mom's very okay, पर जे तुसी कोई business इकट्ठा करना lawyer में जाना, paperwork करना, so फिर कोई गलतफहमी नहीं हो सकती. So that's the one thing I would say to anyone: if you are doing business with family, you still want to make sure that you do have contracts. You want to make sure that you do have everything lawyered, just so that you don't have any of these problems. So with us, we're very close. We talk 4 to 5 times a day, even if we're not working that day. But we also are very clear in what GURVEER's role is, what GURVEER's ownership structure is, what my ownership structure is, what my sister's ownership structure is, what any of our investors. It's very clear. And I think that is one of the biggest things that I would say stops any problems from happening, is that there's no misunderstandings, there's nothing ambiguous. It's very clear. And it's uncomfortable sometimes to talk about money.
And it has to
People
be.
don't like to talk about money. They do not.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is, and I don't think you should talk about money in front of, like other parties.
Exactly.
But as a family, if you're going to do business, you have to get down to the nuts and bolts of it.
But if you have legal aspects to that, that always helps.
And everything
you
has
have
to
to-
be
you have
clear
to
and
do it that way.
concise. If it's not clear and concise, then you should not be doing it.
If you can have a conversation, an open conversation about
Yeah.
money, then you should not be you should not be doing a business with that person.
Yeah.
Amazing. So Gurveer, like as your sister is telling us, what do you think? Like, is family important or money important when we come to the business aspects? Sometimes there are decisions where she might not agree to it, or your elder sister might not agree to it, but you think no, that is correct. How you deal with that?
Well, as a family, we put the business first, so we always do what's best for the business.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if I don't like the decision, or my sister, or my older sister. We do what's best for the company, and we do what's best for the business. That's kind of the point of view that we look at it from. 100% family is the most important thing out there, because you're not only stronger, but you have people that you can trust implicitly. Like, you have no issues with that. So I think as long as you are going to be doing business with family and you do what's best for the company, I don't think you'll ever have any issues.
You just have to put your ego aside. With us, the business is its own entity. It's like a family member almost, because we always think, okay, what's best for the business? What's best for our customers? And that's how we kind of run our company. Like, our first motto is do what's best for the customer, think like an owner, try to do well. Like, that's how we run it. So even with our business, it's always like, this is its own separate entity. I can have an opinion, GURVEER can have an opinion, my sister can have an opinion, my dad can. But we put our egos aside and be like, what is best for this specific entity?
And you always have to, in your business, you always have to put the people that are best at that position to take that role and lead it. It could be anyone in our company, but you need to make sure you empower them and you let the best person capable of that role do that role.
We have a very flat organization, and we literally have the best team.
I will talk about that, because before we were doing our conversation behind the camera, you told me that how your father was valued, and you bring that to your company's motto. So we will talk about that. But before that, I just want to know how many people you employ right now?
About 100.
About 100.
Across all the different companies.
Okay. And they are all diversified, like some are in
some are in the auto industry, some are in the construction industry, so it's a bit diversified. I would say majority of our staff is on the auto body division side.
Right.
Just because you need a lot more people to fix cars.
and we try to keep it very diverse. That's always mindful of us. Like, we do have one of our body shop managers is a woman. We have, so we are always trying to find talent in unique areas, in overlooked areas.
Absolutely. तो आप ये देख सकते हैं किस तरह से एक बहुत फैमिली जो एक है वो एक दूसरे के साथ निटिड है, और खुद आगे बढ़कर अपनी ईगोज़ को पीछे रखकर इस बिज़नेस को आगे लेके जा रहे हैं. ये बहुत बड़ा एग्जांपल है. आज इनको यहाँ बुलाने का हमारे स्टूडियो में यही बहुत बड़ा रीज़न था, क्योंकि इतना प्यार और इतनी सक्सेस अगर इकट्ठा मिले तो उससे बेहतर क्या हो सकता है। ये सोचने की बात है, आजकल के बच्चे किस डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं, क्यों जा रहे हैं, ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल है, क्योंकि उनके पेरेंट्स अगेन क्या सही दिशा उनको दिखा रहे हैं या नहीं। आप इसके बारे में ज़रूर सोचिए। एक छोटा सा ब्रेक, और ब्रेक के बाद हम लोग अपनी बातचीत जारी रखेंगे। आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस ओनली ऑन पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविज़न। मिलते हैं एक छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद। वेलकम बैक, एक बार फिर से स्वागत है हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। आप देख रहे हैं सेगमेंट इनक्रेडिबल पीपल एंड देयर इनक्रेडिबल स्टोरीज। आज हमारे साथ लग्जुरिया ग्रुप से जुड़े हैं हैप रणदेव और गुरवीर रणदेव, जिन्होंने अभी तक बताया कि किस तरह से वो अपनी फैमिली के साथ मिलजुल कर ईगोज़ को हटाकर, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, आप याद रखिएगा, ईगोज़ को हटाकर, बिकॉज सब लोग अपने आप में सक्षम हैं, दे आर वेल educated people and they know their priorities, how they look at particular subject, but still जो चीज़ जो प्रोजेक्ट के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है वो सबसे ज़्यादा काम में आती है, उनकी जो सोच है। आइए उनसे बातचीत जारी रखते हैं। Moving forward, you said you have around 100 people in your company,
Yes.
in your group rather. So you were telling us about your dad, that how wherever he worked, he was well looked after, and he was valued. So, like, do you bring that culture in your company also?
Yeah, so it's actually my mom and my dad. When they ended up getting their jobs that they stayed at for quite a while, my mom worked at Delta Calgary Airport for over 20 years. My dad worked at a factory, was M.HAP, and then it was, I can't remember the new name, but he worked there for about 18 years. Their jobs weren't highly critically skilled jobs, but they were very valued and they felt very empowered, and they would talk about how their bosses treated them and how their managers treated them and the processes they had. So they always felt very good about going to work, and that was so important to us because if your parents are happy, you're happy. So we would always talk about when we were little that if we have a business, we're going to make sure we do this like Delta Calgary Airport did, how they have like a career trajectory, how they have Christmas parties, how your team members know that they're vital to your organization.
Right.
And we've tried very hard to make sure that everyone is empowered, that people realize that this is actually a career. We don't like to think there are any dead-end jobs. We move people up quite quickly. We over 65% of our employees make above the Alberta wage average. So we pay people quite well, and we have high expectations, but we do have hands down the best team.
We do, 100%. We have a very strong core team, and that's led to the large growth we've had in the last few years. Our core team thinks like owners, they act like owners, and I feel we have one of the best teams out there.
We do. Right from our construction to our salespeople, like there's a Luxuria way of doing things.
Right.
So if you can't, we don't just follow processes. We create and implement.
Wow.
So if you cannot create, then you can't you're not going to fit in. So we find that there's people that are constantly improving and striving and trying to do better. And so we feel so privileged to have the team members that we have, and we want to keep it that way. We always say mistakes will never get anyone fired, bad attitude will, because you can't teach attitude. And our culture in our company is so important to us. We want people to feel valued. We want people to feel happy where they work. We want them to feel empowered. We want them to know that their voice has a say and they have an impact.
Amazing. You must have seen, or you must have heard a lot of stories about from our community, Gurveer, and getting I can say last year there were many incidents where a few of them got shot also, because of whatever reason. And then this thing became really big, that are we putting our kids or guiding our kids into right direction? Now you were also growing up, and when you came to a stage where people talk about shortcuts, did you went through any experiences like where people said, hey, you have money, just spend out, and were there any temptations, or you always felt, nay, I have to work hard, there are no shortcuts?
We didn't actually have a lot of money growing up, so we never experienced that. We always had to work very hard. So by the time we actually started making our company started doing well, we had all these responsibilities of running the company. So that was never really an opportunity for us. But at the same time, my mom always used to say, das nohan di kamai,
क्या बात है?
is the most important thing. So we always knew that there's no bad jobs, there's only bad people, and we believe in God, right? Like, so we believe Baba Ji the sab kuch dinda, like dikhda. So if we do something bad here on this earth, we're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
So for us, it was always about building a legacy. So there was never a question of taking a shortcut or just wanting money. It was about creating a legacy and having a business. Like, when the funny thing is, when my mom would talk about having a business or my dad would talk about having a business, it was never about, and then we're going to buy this or then we're going to do this. It was just about having a business. So I wouldn't say we were so orientated by money or generating wealth. It was more about accomplishment and doing something here that was meaningful and could build a legacy and, you know, would make our parents proud and our community proud.
Yeah.
Money was just like a byproduct of it.
I think if you work hard, the money comes, right?
Yeah, if you do things, and my dad used to say this, it's really easy to make money the wrong way. Anybody could do it.
क्या बात है?
But making money the right way, doing it honorably, doing it through hard work, doing it through like mehnat, that is something you can be proud of, and that's the only way you want to do it. Otherwise, it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, very well said आप. और अगर आप ये सोचें, ये आजकल के बच्चे जो इतनी मेहनत से अपने आप को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं, तो हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते? Why we can't be like HAP or Gurveer, where we don't have much money when we are growing up, but we make such a huge empire where people can, you know, watch us and see us and learn from us. That's an amazing example. And I believe अगर आप ये प्रोग्राम देखें और कभी ये सोचें कि हमने अपने बच्चों को क्या दिया है, या उनको शॉर्टकट दिखा रहे हैं या उनको मेहनत से आगे बढ़ना सिखा रहे हैं. HAP, Gurveer, thank you for your time today. And it's an amazing story, and you know, it's a very, I can say, from your heart, and what you said, everything, we are so thankful to you. What is the message you want to give to the community and to the kids who are growing up right now, so that they can at least think about it?
I would say think big. Don't let people put limits on what you can do, because you can do so much more than you think. Work hard. Always be, you know, make sure that no one can outwork you. You don't have to be the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, the richest. You just have to be the hardest working. And really align yourself with people that think like you. And also remember that where you started is not where you have to end up.
Yeah.
Amazing. Gurveer.
I think make sure you work hard and you align yourself with the right circle. I think that's very important. You have to be with the right people, and don't think, you know, some dreams are just too big. Like, don't think that there's no dream too big out there.
So if we, to make it, you know, or I can say the crux of the story today, we can sum up like, if you work hard and fear God and do hard work and respect your parents, I think that will lead you a great ways, right?
Yes, and we like to be honest, like a little bit of luck.
You do need
Of
luck.
course,
Yeah, a little
of
luck.
course, of course.
Guess
No, I
what,
don't.
we put
Because
details
because people work really hard. I think as a community, we all worked really hard. So we like to think that we did work hard, but we also did get a little lucky.
कहा जाता है कि जो इंसान अपनी मदद करता है तो भगवान और किस्मत उसकी मदद ज़रूर करते हैं. So in a way, and as you said, you know, दसां नौं दी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿਰਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕਦੇ ਖਾਲੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੀ. I believe if you are dedicated, if you are sincere, if you are working towards a goal without hurting anybody, without taking shortcuts, and you're putting yourself into it with your whole heart and, you know, yourself and your pure mind, nothing can stop you.
You know what, I want to mention this because we forgot to mention it, but mom and dad were always big on daswand. So giving 10% of your income
Wow.
to charity. So that was very, very big in our family. We didn't even have a lot growing up, but my dad and mom were always big on giving to people who had even less than us.
And it was always giving back to the right contributions in the right places. Our mom's still really big on that.
Amazing.
So she's very big on like giving directly. So that is another thing that, even though you may not feel you're lucky, just being in Canada, where we have opportunities and we have, you know, like there's value in human life, we're so lucky.
Last thing I want to ask before we end, You said you went to India. How was that experience?
I went into India 3 times. The last time was in 2007.
Okay.
I went shopping for my wedding, and I felt a really deep connection to like our ancestral land.
Yeah.
I have 4 kids now, so I'm gonna take, and my husband's never gone to India, so we are gonna go to Amritsar probably in the next 2 to 3 years. But how can you not feel a connection
Yeah.
to India? That's like,
That is
where
more
we're from.
important, right? Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for being on the show. And anytime you have any messages for the community, or if you want to give, any kind of talk about your, your group, or how you treat them, or how they are looked after, so that other people can learn from it. Do remember us. We are always there to put your words
Thank you.
to our listeners.
Thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk about ourselves.
No, that's a kind of opportunity for us where we can tell your story to the growing kids, and to the community, where they can at least see how well knitted you are, and how well you guys are working hard with your family traditions, and ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਮਿਲ ਜੁਲ ਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ. You guys are the example for that. Thank you for
Thank you.
being
you so
here.
much.
तो मैं आपसे विदा लेता हूँ. आई होप आपको बहुत मज़ा आया होगा आज की स्टोरी सुन के. अगेन, इनक्रेडिबल पीपल एंड देयर इनक्रेडिबल स्टोरीज. ये सेगमेंट आप देखते हैं ओनली ऑन कैलगरी फोकस पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविज़न पर. देखते रहिए, सुनते रहिए. अगले वीक आपसे दोबारा मुलाकात होगी. तब तक के लिए अपना ध्यान रखें, मस्त रहें, खुश रहें, अपना और माशरे का ध्यान रखें. ज़रूर जाकर वैक्सीनेशन लगवाएं. जो भी अवेलेबल है इस समय बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है हमारी सिटी को, हमारे प्रोविंस को. टेक केयर. मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीक.